These are the Swiss Alps, where skiing has been a way of life for more than half a century. Here, there are hundreds of ski resorts nestled within the secluded valleys. In one of them, St. Moritz was selected to host the world's most prestigious ski competition, the 23rd FIS World Alpine Ski Championships. Every 4 years, 300 of the world's finest ski racers from 35 countries assemble for a 10-day competition to determine the championships of the world. To compete in one of the 3 events, you must be one of the 4 best racers from your country. To win, you must be the best in the world on a given day at a given hour. For the gold medal winner, it must be a day of greatness. Here at St. Moritz, Switzerland, the competition will focus on the 4 big powers of skiing: the young, newly organized French team, the always dangerous Italians, the strong Austrian team, and the hometown favorites, the Swiss. These 4 powerful teams are expected to divide most of the 24 gold, silver, and bronze medals to be awarded. Of all the medals, the gold in downhill is the most prized, and host country Switzerland is favored in this, skiing's most dangerous event. The St. Moritz downhill took a heavy toll of those competitors who made even the slightest error on the 2-mile run, where speeds averaged almost 60 miles an hour. During the last 4 years, it has been the Swiss who have dominated the downhill. And it is again the Swiss who are favored here at St. Moritz, mainly due to the talents of one man, the popular 22-year-old Roland Colomben, bicycle racer, auto racer, and downhill specialist. Colomben has already won at Garmisch, Avoriaz, Wengen, and Kitzbühel. Surely he will win here at St. Moritz. But to do so, he'll have to ski faster than David Swilling, a 24-year-old carpenter from Salzburg, Austria. Swilling was a specialist in giant slalom until coach Tony Seiler, who believes his racers should be competent in all 3 events, changed Swilling's boots, corrected the position of his thighs and the way of placing his skis in the snow. After only 2 training camps, David Swilling had become the equal of Austria's best downhillers, and he has consistently placed in the top 15. Even though Swilling has never won a downhill, he is always a threat, always capable of putting in that great run that could make him champion. Today will be his biggest test. The first part of the course is a high-speed schuss through a series of rolling bumps. Here, the racer must ride a flat ski and maintain a low tuck position. Swilling lets his skis float along, finding their own path. At the same time, his thighs are tense to hold the low position. Once past the 70-mile-an-hour schuss, Swilling enters the first gate of the difficult S-turn. He takes it beautifully, keeping his balance over the outside ski and carving an efficient turn to carry his speed into the lower section of the S. Now off the big roll that must be taken in the air. A smooth landing sets Swilling up for the bumpy high-speed section. Arms out occasionally for stability. Swilling carries his speed across the flat. Pre-jumps into the fall-away turn and heads for the finish line schuss. Swilling crosses the finish line, beating Giuliano Besson of Italy by 1.5 seconds. Pleased with his performance, Swilling will now wait for the world's best downhillers who will make a run at his time of 1:56.98. Of all downhill racers, there is one man Swilling fears more than any other. That same man is the crowd's hope for bringing honor and the gold medal to Switzerland. In the eyes of his countrymen, any finish other than first place would mean failure. That man is Roland Colombin. Colombin skates out of the start with a burst of energy and heads for the long schuss. Because of Colombin's sturdy body and steel-like thighs, he assumes a different downhill position than most racers. A very deep, low crouch, sitting far back on his skis. A very fast, but very dangerous position. Colombin takes the long schuss with ease, but into the S-turn he slides low out of the first gate. His first mistake. And by the time he passes the S-turn, his time is an incredible 1 second slower than Swilling's. But 35,000 spectators and 5.5 million Swiss television viewers know that their Colombin will make up the time. Colombin, sensing his mistake, presses harder as he reaches the halfway point. Suddenly, an explosion of snow, and the next moment, Switzerland's Roland Colombin is standing motionless in the middle of the course, wearing only one ski. At the finish line, the spectators are shocked at the announcement that number 6, Colombin, has fallen. While the crowd is stunned, Swilling is pleased, and the gold medal moves closer. Then Swilling's teammate and Austrian favorite Franz Klammer finishes more than 1 second slower than Swilling, and now everyone knows there is only one man who can possibly beat the Austrian superb time. The 1970 world champion and 1972 Olympic champion, Bernard Russi of Switzerland, one of the greatest downhillers in history. A precise skier with great confidence, Russi has the reputation of winning the big ones. At the S-turn, he looks fast, and he handles this difficult section with ease. Into the air off with a big bump. It's important here for the racer to stay in his tucked position, and then get back onto the snow quickly. Russi lands smoothly and heads down the steep section. To win this downhill, Russi can afford no mistakes. Yet on the steep schuss near the finish, Russi seems to miss his line, hits a series of small bumps, and kills his speed by going down just before the flat. A quick recovery is not enough, and Bernard Russi heads for the finish line more than 2 seconds slower than David Swilling. And for the first time in 10 years, the gold medal in downhill returns to Austria. David Swilling is world champion. Franz Klammer of Austria won the silver medal, and Willy Frommelt of Liechtenstein won the bronze. It was a great day for David Swilling. It was his best performance ever. This was his day of greatness. For the women's downhill, the weather turned cold and a light snow was falling. Austria's Anna-Marie Pröll was favored. And when Wilfried Drexel and Monika Kaserer continued to hold first and second place, it appeared as though it would be a clean sweep for Austria. But they had forgotten about a spunky little Canadian named Betsy Clifford, who leaves the starting gate and turns in her best downhill performance ever, to cross the finish line almost 4/10 of a second faster than Austria's Wilfried Drexel. Clifford is in first. It was Clifford's second surprise of her skiing career. At the age of 16, she won the gold medal in the giant slalom at Val Gardena. But Betsy knows that Anna-Marie Prell is yet to come. For several years, Anna-Marie has been considered the world's best woman downhiller. Yet at the Sapporo Olympics, she lost first place to Switzerland's Maria-Therese Nadig. Now, it is the Canadian, Betsy Clifford, who stands in her way of the gold medal. Prell leaves the starting gate and appears calm and relaxed as she skates onto the soft course. But at the first timing station, she is 4/100ths of a second slower than Clifford. When the announcement is made, tension begins to build at the finish area. Clifford's hopes rise for the gold medal. But Anna-Marie Prell is moving faster, and at the second station, her time is the same as Clifford's. It's going to be close. Into the final schuss, Anna-Marie Prell moves ahead, and the gold medal is hers. First to congratulate her is Betsy Clifford, whose silver medal winning surprise performance is reward enough for her best downhill race ever. Wilfried Drexel captured the bronze medal, and Anna-Marie has lived up to her reputation as best in the world. The weather continued bleak for the women's giant slalom. In the starting gate, wearing number 4, is a young French beauty named Fabienne Serrat. At 5 feet 6 inches tall and 123 pounds, Serrat would appear to be more at home in a beauty contest than a grueling giant slalom race. But as soon as Fabienne leaves the starting gate, it's obvious she belongs here, competing for the gold medal in one of the toughest courses ever set for women's competition. This course is 3/4 of a mile long and has 65 gates. Fabienne fights between each gate, and for every 1/100th of a second, pushing herself, never relaxing, never coasting, skating, stepping up, and driving through each turn. Fabienne Serrat displays what it takes to become a world champion. Serrat heads for the finish line more than a half a second ahead of the world's best women skiers. Today, the gold medal is hers. Germany's Traudl Treichel is second, and Serrat's teammate, Jacqueline Rouvier, is third. From every world championship, there always seems to emerge one bright new personality. Here at St. Moritz, that personality was Fabienne Serrat. The morning of the women's slalom opens with a blue sky. The storms had passed. In the starting gate, America's only hope for a medal, the 1972 Olympic champion Barbara Ann Cochran, who meets disaster in the early morning shadows of the first run. Cochran's fall wasn't the only first-run disappointment. Anna-Marie Prell, who could easily clinch the gold medal in the combined, instead skis hard for a slalom win and loses both. The combined title now rests in the hands of Fabienne Serrat, who is in 4th place after the first run. Rosie Mittermeier is in 3rd, with France's Michelle Jacot turning in the fastest first run. And then there is Hanny Wenzel from the tiny country of Liechtenstein. And to cheer her on, half the population from home let Hanny know that they believed she could win the gold medal. Because at this point, Wenzel stands only 2/100ths of a second behind Jacot. The second course is to Wenzel's liking. It's steep and icy. The 19-year-old Wenzel displays grace and agility through the 52 gates. She skis a perfect run. Wenzel crosses the finish line and moves into the lead, but seems disappointed in her performance. But her 3,000 fans are confident that they will have their first gold medal in history. Hanny refuses to believe that her time will stand under Jacot's attack. And Michelle Jacot, knowing that her 2/100ths of a second lead is a slim margin, goes all out. When Jacot crosses the finish line, she's a half a second slower than Wenzel. Hanny is elated and anxiously awaits Fabienne Serra. Serra finishes with the fastest second run, but still 1 second out of first place. The last contender for Wenzel's gold medal is Germany's Rosi Mittermeier, a pretty 23-year-old slalom specialist who always puts everything she has into every race. And today is no exception. But the course is softer now, so Rosi must fight from gate to gate. Rosi Mittermeier puts in a good run, but not good enough. Hanny Wenzel of Liechtenstein is the winner. Jacot captures second, and Switzerland's Lisa Marie Moreau finishes third. A great day for Hanny Wenzel and Liechtenstein. The weather continues clear and cold. Perfect conditions for the two remaining events. The men's giant slalom will be a highly contested competition between the Italians and the Austrians. This will be an exhausting course. A sheet of glare ice, 3/4 of a mile long with 65 gates. Helmut Schmalzel crosses the finish line with the early lead time for Italy, and then collapses from fatigue. His time stands as the best so far, but he and the other racers wait for the leader of the Italian team, Gustavo Terni. It was Terni who brought the Italian team out of obscurity with his 3 consecutive World Cup victories and his gold medal in the giant slalom at the Sapporo Olympics. But Gustavo has been having a disappointing season. So today, Terni will face his most important test. Terni's prime consideration must be the 65 gates in front of him. In the starting gate, Terni thinks ahead. His first difficulty will be a 35-degree steep icy pit. As soon as Gustavo passes the blue gate, he'll want to get as high up in the course as possible to negotiate the red gate. To do this, Gustavo pushes off his downhill ski with a movement called lateral projection. He extends his whole body onto his uphill ski and transfers his weight at exactly the same time. Before he gets to the red gate, he will have completed his turn and be heading for the next blue gate down the hill to his left. He's spots the next gate, turns his head to the right, takes a deep breath, and looks far down the hill to where he is going. And once again, as he makes the turn, he is preparing for the gate farther ahead. Then suddenly, a bump in the snow knocks his downhill ski out from under him. Instantly, Turney, with cat-like reflexes, throws his weight onto the uphill ski so that he can recover. Then he transfers his weight back onto the downhill ski, makes his lateral projection back up the hill, and makes the turn. It was Turney's father who taught him how to make high-speed round turns. It was also Turney's father who taught him to stay away from the gates. But in the World Championships here, he doesn't follow his father's advice. He cuts the gate too close, hits his arm, and is thrown back. Another racer might have been spun out of the course, but Turney once again stands on that uphill ski just in time to recover, then plants his right pole and negotiates the next turn. With so many gates over 3/4 of a mile, it takes a well-conditioned, determined racer to work hard through every gate. Gustavo Turney is one of those, and he crosses the finish line with the fastest run of the day. He's in first place, and obviously happy with his first run. The two Italians, Schmalzel and Turney, are now in first and second. And right behind them, the 19-year-old sensation of the Italian team, Piero Gross, crosses the finish line, and Italy is 1, 2, and 3. It looks like it will be an all-Italian event. In most international competitions, there's a day of rest between the two giant slalom runs. But because of weather conditions, both runs in the giant slalom at St. Moritz will be held on the same day. The second run will be a test of tired legs and exhausted bodies. During the running of the second and third seated racers, the top finishers try to relax to keep their muscles from tightening. It's also a time for last-minute adjustments. The starting order is reversed in the second run to give the racers an equal chance. The first racer to go will be Piero Gross, who is one of the heavy favorites in this event. Some say that he will be the new Gustavo Turney. 19 years old, Gross is strong. It is his first big world competition, and Piero wants this one. He has a good chance to win. Gross attacks every gate. The smoothest racers in giant slalom are usually the ones going the fastest. The second course, like the first, is glare ice. It has been packed down by 1,000 soldiers and watered every day for 2 weeks. Halfway down the course, Gross's legs are burning. He's tired, but he doesn't give up. The course is steep almost all the way, and with every ounce of strength, Piero Gross keeps pushing. His Italian coach cheers him on. Gross crosses the finish line after a good run. But being the first racer down, he has no way of knowing how his time will stand. And now it's his turn to wait and watch his fellow competitors. The next racer up is Hansi Hinterseer of Austria. Hansi, with the 6th fastest first run, is the son of former Olympic champion Ernst Hinterseer. Hansi is going all out. He's attacking every gate. As one of the fantastic new skiers brought up by Austria in the last few years, Hinterseer puts in a fantastic run and crosses the finish line with a beautiful time to edge out Piero Gross and moves into first place. Word is radioed to the top that Hinterseer has edged out Gross, but the Italians are confident that Gustavo Terni will put in a good second run and win. Terni is confident, but there's no chance to coast in a race like this, not even if you're a half second ahead in the first run. Gustavo knows he has to be just as smooth in this second course as he was in the first. Terni does not appear to have the physical strength of many of his rivals, but it is Terni's technique, not his strength, that gets him down the course faster than anybody else. Skating, pushing, projecting himself up the hill with each turn. When Terni comes within sight of the finish line, the crowd goes wild. And with only a few gates to go, Terni concentrates on gaining every last fraction of a second. And when he crosses the finish line, he has beaten Hansi Hinterseer by almost a full second. His time stands. It was a great day for Italy. First place, Gustavo Terni. Second place, Hansi Hinterseer of Austria. Third place, Piero Gross. The weather held, and 30,000 spectators came out to watch the men's special slalom, the last and final event of the World Championships at St. Moritz. Once again, the courses would be glare ice, and with poles rushing by faster than one every second, some of the world's best slalom racers met disaster in the early rounds. After the first run of the slalom, young Piero Gross is standing in first place. David Zwilling, the versatile downhill winner, is in second place. And in third is Austria's Hansi Hinterseer. In ninth place, after a conservative and disappointing first run, is Gustavo Terni, more than 1.5 seconds behind Gross. An impossible situation for the 22-year-old Italian. So it appears to be Hinterseer, Gross, and Zwilling, all battling for the gold medal. Of the early round leaders in the first run, Hinterseer will go first. The 20-year-old Hinterseer is a classic slalom specialist with lightning-quick reflexes and superb concentration. Hinterseer is having a perfect second run. He flashes across the finish line with a time of 1:52.95, giving Hinterseer the best time of the day. However, word comes down that a protest has been filed against Hinterseer's first run, and he is notified that television films will have to be viewed before his first run can stand. Hinterseer, who is now in the gold medal winning position, is obviously disappointed. But a replay of Hinterseer's first run clearly shows that he straddled a gate and was therefore disqualified. Hinterseer is out of the race. This leaves it up to David Zwilling of Austria. With Zwilling's good first run, he again proves himself as a versatile, dangerous racer in every event. Having already won the gold medal in the downhill, Zwilling has the confidence to go all the way in the slalom and win his second gold medal. David Swilling puts in a flawless second run in the slalom, passes through every gate, and crosses the finish line in first place. The only two racers now who threaten Swilling are Claude Perrault of France and Pierrot Gros. But between those racers, we still have the incomparable Gustavo Terni. The Italians are sure that Terni will do something spectacular, even if he doesn't win. Gustavo, who is in 9th place, knows what he must do. With nothing to lose and everything to gain, Terni will ski as fast as he can. With Swilling's flawless second run, and Gustavo being 1.5 seconds behind in the first run of a 53-second course, it seems an impossible situation. But Gustavo Terni, with his cat-like reflexes and his unbelievable technique, will give it his best. The Italians were right. Terni would do something spectacular. For on this run, he doesn't just ski, he dances, darting from gate to gate with coolly controlled madness. Gustavo Terni crosses the finish line and the Italians go wild. He has beaten David Swilling by 2.2 seconds in the second run. He is in the gold medal winning position. And suddenly there are only two racers who can beat him out of his second gold medal. And they are still at the top of the course. One of them is France's Claude Perrault. Near the finish line, Perrault misses the gate and is disqualified. That leaves only one racer, Pierrot Gros, the man who had the fastest first run. Terni waits. Gros is a marvelous skier who attacks every gate, and he's going for that gold medal. Gros is in trouble. He's back on the course. Knowing that he has a 1.5 second lead over Terni in the first run, Gros cannot afford to be careless and miss a gate. And then, in sight of the finish line, Pierrot goes down. It is all over. Terni is the world champion in the slalom. And once again, for the quiet Italian, it was truly a day of greatness. David Swilling is second, and Francisco Fernandez Ochoa is third in the slalom. As the final gold medal in St. Moritz is awarded to Fabienne Serra for the women's alpine combined, the championships are drawn to a close. For the 300 racers, it will always be remembered as 10 days of rugged competition. But there are certain racers that will stand out above all others. These were their days of greatness.